Warner Brothers Discovery has told its shareholders to reject Paramount's Skydance's $108 billion takeover bid. Paramount has said that the offer was superior to a $72 billion deal that Warner Brothers struck with Netflix for its film and streaming businesses. But in a dramatic plot...
Two and a Half Gamers exclusive.
Breaking news.
Literally breaking.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our special news segment. This is, of course, where the 2.5 Gamers helps you stay 2.5 steps ahead of current events in the mobile gaming industry. Today, I have two news stories for you before we move on to the weather. And of course, the weather is actually just looking at Sensor Tower and looking at what games are bringing in the most ad revenue, what games are bringing in the most IP revenue, and what games are growing the most in downloads. So, to begin, we have a story from Neil Long and Mobile Gamer Biz. And here he reported yesterday on the 17th of December that Unity risks fresh backlash with new fee, and it feels like blackmail. So Unity appears to be introducing a new annual fee for enterprise customers starting at $250K and rising to $2 million. MobileGamer.biz sources have been taken aback by emails sent out by Unity this week outlining what appears to be an additional fee targeted at bigger Unity customers. Our sources claim that the engine maker threatened to revoke their license if they fail to pay what appears to be the new Unity Enterprise Minimum Commitment Program fee. That is a mouthful. Unity has previously announced 5% price rises for enterprise and pro customers starting on January 12th, 2026, but has not made any public reference to the Unity Enterprise Minimum Commitment Program to date. We have contacted Unity for comment and context on this, and will update this article if and when the company responds. There has been no update to date. So, this program basically Mobile Gamer Biz reads that if you are required to use Unity Enterprise based on the Unity software tier eligibility detailed in the Unity editor software terms, you will be subject to the Unity Enterprise Minimum Commitment Program. This program requires that you pay Unity a specified minimum commitment amount at the commencement of each subscription year, which will be applied towards your purchase of Unity subscription licenses and support products. The minimum commitment will be determined based on your gross revenue from the previous 12 months, as detailed in the table below. I'll share that after finishing reading this article. Here's a quote. "I think that they want to make a better Q4 financial report," said one developer who received the email. "We can pay more for the license, but charging us according to our revenue size is too demanding. This feels like blackmail, and they can further increase the percentage whenever they want." Another source said, "It's not going down well with developers. It's a nice Christmas present." Another developer added, "The threat of termination seems like overkill for enterprise customers." The new fee is similar to a fellow game engineer maker Epic's model, which charges developers roughly 1% of revenue generated from Unreal developed games. Those studios sometimes strike bespoke engine usage deal. So this reminds us quite a lot about the fiasco a couple of years ago when Unity tried to introduce their runtime fee. So now I just want to add a bit of color here, my own perspective on this, and it's just a big face palm. That's what I'm doing right now if you're listening to this. It's just, how bad is the Unity business model that they just need to go after enterprise customers like this? It honestly feels like a government who's overspent and it's just taxing the rich, right? So let me show you here the Neil's piece so you can see the tiers, right? So you can see here that the fees go up to $2 million, which you pay at the start of the year, for the pleasure of using Unity if you're earning more than $250 million a year. So there's no indication if this is also ad revenue or if that's included or if it's only IAP revenue. I suspect Unity calculating ad revenue is going to be quite tricky, but it just feels a bit like another slap in the face for developers and basically another reasons to not trust Unity as much as possible. I know the new CEO has a consultancy background, and I guess this is just his way of trying to capitalize on some of the success of the larger developers on the program. But the thing about these large developers is that they also have quite sharky legal teams. So we'll see how this goes. Last time, people got really angry and it didn't go through. So we'll see how this goes. It's definitely not the last time we report on this story. But moving on to even more drama, and that is the Warner Brothers Paramount offer. So as we reported a couple of weeks ago, of course, that Netflix was offering to take over Warner Bros. And now Paramount has basically stepped into the deal. Warner Brothers Discovery has told its shareholders to reject Paramount's Skydance's $108 billion takeover bid. Paramount has said that the offer was superior to a $72 billion deal that Warner Brothers struck with Netflix for its film and streaming businesses. But in a dramatic plot twist to the story of who will take control of one of Hollywood's oldest and most famous movie studios, Warner Brothers board unanimously recommended rejecting the offer and agreed the deal with Netflix was in the firm's best interest. The media giant put itself up for sale in October after receiving multiple expressions of interest from potential buyers, including approaches from Paramount Skydance. On December 5th, Warner Brothers Discovery said it had agreed to sell its film and streaming business to Netflix. In a lengthy legal filing, Warner Brothers Discovery board said that the offer from Paramount poses numerous and significant risks and strongly rejects the idea that the Ellison family, one of America's richest, rejects the idea that Paramount is backed by the billionaire Ellison family, which has close ties to the president. In a reflection of where the power now lies in the entertainment industry, the Warner Bros. Board says that the offer from streaming giant Netflix is well-financed and offers better long-term value for shareholders. So, what's going on here? I mean, if you want more color on what's actually going on behind the scenes, I suggest maybe just checking out Succession Season 2, because they pretty much probably what's going on here. I don't think this is the last we see of this saga. I know that the Netflix deal carried with it, I think, a $3 billion separation clause if they walk away from the deal. And it's just, a lot of question marks on who actually will take over this very highly treasured asset. So now we kind of covered the news. So now we want to move on to what I call the weather. And that's, of course, looking on Sensor Tower rankings. So let's first take a look at the absolute revenue charts in the US. So what's actually been happening in the last 30 days. So as we can see here, Monopoly Go has pretty much been topping the charts. This, of course, doesn't include web shop revenue. In the States, they've earned about $80 million in the last month, followed by Royal Match on $55 million. From what I can see here, there's nothing really that's changed. So if we look at the global rankings, we see that then the domination is very different. 4X, of course, is not as popular in America as it is in Asia. So here you can see how the list changes, because basically the top 2 games in the last 30 days in global IAP revenues, Last War, which is a 4X game, and then Whiteout Survival, which is another 4X game. And then we have Monopoly Go with 108 million, which is a social casino game. We have Royal Match on 105 million. Not sure if this is actually quite interesting to see, but if we actually change this chart to see what game has actually done the most growth in terms of IAP revenue in the last 30 days. We see a bunch of Asian games here, Coin Master. Let's just move this to the US and actually see what's going on, if there's anything interesting going here. Total Battle has grown quite a lot. I think Pixel Flow by Loom Games is up 66% to $4 million or $5 million in IAPs. So that means we should move it all over to downloads. And here's actually where a lot of interesting things happen. So here we can see that the top performing games globally with the most downloads currently globally is first Solitaire Association's Journey by Hit Apps. This is one of these amazing titles that's jumping on this bandwagon where you're combining 2 main genres that's getting a lot of downloads to basically capitalize on user acquisition for both of them. We have Red Dead Redemption from Take-Two Interactive, which is launched on mobile. It has generated 6 million downloads, right? I'm assuming this is a premium game because it's only generated about $300,000 in IAP revenue. Then we have Arrow's Puzzle by Lesmore has grown 206% in terms of downloads from it's grown quite a lot. That's quite impressive to see. It's now generating 52k in IAPs, which probably means they're generating anywhere if on a 2.5 million user base, these guys are probably generating anywhere from 150 to 210k a day right now, I'd say. So that's really impressive. So to cap it all, we're going to look at what I call my specialty, right? And that is the daily active user base. Why do I care about that? Because it indicates the largest ad monetized games in the world. So here's the global view on Sensor Tower. You see it dominated by Roblox, Garena, Clash Royale. That's not that interesting, I think. So let's just focus on the US and let's look at growth instead, because that's more indicative. So here we have hit apps as well. We have a classic game that's been on this store ranking as long as I can remember, which is Geometry Dash. And then we have Block Blast. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. A bit of a pullback on some of our games we've covered on the podcast before, which is Magic Sword, which has pulled back 16% in terms of DAU in the US. Anything else here that sticks out? Match Villains has grown by 20% in terms of downloads. Match 3D game, which is killing it. Then we also have, that's pretty much it. That all the things that look interesting. I think the most thing to note here that's the most interesting is Solitaire Association by hit apps and how much it has grown. We've kind of covered this earlier on the podcast as well. But that is the 10-minute mark absolutely smashed. So unfortunately, I need to end it here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check back next week if you want more news updates.